Yo, guys, what's going on? So we're joined here by Legit Vocals. Vocals, how's it going, man?
It's going great today, Chris. How you doing?
Great, great. So we wanted to do a deck profile and a breakdown of your list because you have some spicy tech here, and yeah, just talk about your list, talk about how it got you to third place. It was supposed to be second, which is unfortunate, but it did get you to the top. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, that's always the plan. We hoped for second, but we're still happy with the performance the deck did. Especially since like we got to where we did with RNG to get here. Started off, we are a three raid deck with three different names, so our zeros are going to be kind of spread between those. We are on four of the zero drop Hiske, which lets us be the raid target for our Hiske. It's also like when we're looking at other zeros, you're either playing more store zeros or you're playing this. I was happy to play this as my raid target for it. I'm playing four of this card. I have a wonderful love-hate relationship with the zero drop Shin. It's a zero drop 2K and let us scry and then like leave a card on top, which can combo with our raid later, or we can just bottom it. But the fact that it has no trigger, it does put me at 11 no triggers. That's including finals, where I like to be less than 10, including finals. But overall, I'm happy with how this card performed this weekend. Moving up into the one slot costs, we are playing the one drop Shin. This searches every card in the deck besides my funny tech card that we'll get to, and then finals and specials. But overall, this card was still good. I wish it was a one drop 2K, but one drop 15 we have to take with what we can get sometimes. Going up, our first Taros of the deck, we are playing one drop Taros, the 2Ks. I'm playing this over the zero drop Impact Negate Taro because I have another card that I'm playing in the zero slots that I'd rather play. And I just like this Taro because sometimes when we're buffing it with one of our doublers we'll get to later, just being a 4K that can potentially be a 5K is just a number I like it to be. Then we are playing four of the two drop Taro. This counts as a zero if we have nothing else. This card's very strong. Is the color trigger I'm deciding to play instead of the Shin. One, because I don't want to play the zero drop Impact Negate Taro because it also has no trigger. Where this has trigger, and it also can lock out certain decks. Like we can lock out like Red Kagura Abachi with one of our raids later on. We could target this, and then they really can't touch our board. It's a very strong two drop, and overall, I'm really happy with where this did today. A card that I'm kind of playing that I only think I saw one other list in like the top lane. I am playing the two drop Hiske. I cut one of each my doublers for this, so that way when people put me on the going first play, I can go 0-0 or like 0-1, search this, play this on my second turn. So on my 2 AP turn, I can slam this. So if my opponent pushes up aggressively and they hit me, I can raid on one of my zeros and then still be on 3 energy. If I raid on a Taro, I can probably get another doubler. Then I went from 4 energy to 5. If I raid on a Shin, I can rip my opponent, have all information of their hand going into my turn, so I know if there's anything I need to do. Overall, putting these in really helped the deck curve out. This is two more non-triggers that I was like wary about, but they kind of earned their spot today. My favorite doubler of the deck is going to be 3-drop Hiske. It is a 3-drop 2K, sadly, but it has activate main, discard a card, flip one of my lives face up. I can give 2K to a guy. So between the Shin, which is a 2K, the Taro that's a 2K, this Taro that's a 2K, and this Hiske that's a 25, I can make 4K swings with my little guys when I need to, and it also gives me another way to flip up cards, so that way later on I can gain impact here. Um, my next doubler is 3-drop Taro. This is just a very good active trigger step, especially when we get to our raids later on, derating down into this so we can move back, have the energy. Very good. Like I said, I cut the fourth copy of each of these for one of each of these 2-drop piece case, so that way I could overall get to where I was with these. Um, Moving into the raids and 4-drop section, I'm playing two of 4-drop Fatty Taros, I call them. I call them the Fatty Raid. On play, he's Impact Negate. On play, he can't be sidelined or BP reduced, which really comes up. It's like a free block. But then the second part is you get to choose a card on your front line. It can't be targeted by your opponent's event or character ability, so it can't be special, can't be anything. Comboing it with the 2-drop, so if we play this on another Taro, target this Taro. Uh, it just locks out some decks because this says they have to target a Taro, but if they target this one can't be sidelined, so they can't special it right to you, or it could be like target this, doesn't die. So it kind of just locks people out of the game. Sure, they can push this back, but that still means they can't do anything else because this Taro says they still have to target it. Now, if we call this the fatty raid, we call this the skinny raid. This is a 4-drop. When played, become 5k gain impact, and then you look at the top 5 for a yellow either the store, which is the site, or a yellow character that is 3,500 or less. So it gets to play literally everything over here, and then also gets to play our wonderful next card, which is going to be 4-drop Lu Xiao Tang. She is another one of our no triggers, but she's wonderful because she says if we have 3 names of Sakamoto store that are unique, she can't be blocked by 4k or higher, and whenever she attacks, you get to draw a card. So our 3 names in this deck is going to be Shin, Sakamoto, and herself. So if we're just seeing our natural curve, we play this, we play this. Well, we have 2 swings that are going to most likely get through and also get us a card draw. And this is a very good card for like going lethal. That's why I didn't fully cut this, but we were on 3 of this, but I went down to 2 for a fun card that we'll get to in a shortly. We are on 3 4-drop Shin raid. This is a good raid. I don't think it's as great as everybody wants to when you're playing the hybrid, because I'd rather value my Taro raids more. It's when played, you get to look at your opponent's hand, rip a card back to the top of their deck face up. And activate main, it's a draw trash for you most of the time. Or if you have 2, or if you have a way to turn the life face up like the 0-drop Shin, it's just a draw without trashing. Very good card. Really strong if like your opponent hits 1 out of life, and then next turn you get to raid 1, you could kind of put 2 cards and put them back. But also sets you up for our final raid, being 4 of the 5-drop Hisuke, which is when played, you you may flip a life face up, and then your opponent chooses a life. If it is face down, they have to flip it up, and then activate main. If there's 3 face up cards between your deck, your opponent's deck, and life and opponent's life, he can gain impact. So with his effect alone, that'd be 1, 2, and if you had Shin, that could be number 3 or 4 if you put a card on top of your opponent's deck. Another reason why I didn't want to play a lot of Shins because I didn't want to keep giving my opponent a card where they can enable their Hisuke easier and not have to flip their life up. Uh, and there's times where when you're playing this, things to think about. You may be like, oh, I don't want to flip my life. Your opponent flips one, and then you already have like a card face up. They have a card face up. Use the doubler Hisuke to like buff one of your little guys and flip your life up that way instead of flipping your life up this way. Unless you don't want to really discard the card, but that way you can still get your impact. Now, the card I was playing, and I think I saw one other person was playing it in top 32, and I think he was playing 3 copies of it, where I'm only playing 2. And I think this card really won me at least 3 of my rounds, won me my round 6 on stream. I think this card deserves its spot very well, and that is going to be 2 5-drop Nagamo. This card's very good. It's a 5-drop 4K with activate main. If on frontline, you can target a card without raid, which is like, so anything that's not one of these cards. He can even target himself, and you may raid any character on it. So he's true to the character where he switches faces. So one of my favorite plays to do is like play Nagamo on the front line, target himself. I grab 4-drop Taro, raid it, stand it up, go get my body, and then end of attack phase, when this deraids, I have my 4K still. Instead of like raiding on one of the littler bodies, I have a smaller body on the front line, I get to keep my 4K. Overall, this card earned its spot. Like in my game against the stream, where I was playing against one of the homies that we playtested with the Airbnb, we were trading our Hisuke's and our specials back and forth. We ended up in a spot where no longer had raid targets, but I was able to play a Nagamo down and be like, well, now I always have raid targets until we have stuff like that, which is very strong because he had to vanilla play one of each of his raids, where I didn't have to vanilla play any raid from that point forward. 3 finals, because that's what we do when we're cutting for space of cards. I wanted to play 2 Lu Xiao, so that means I cut. I was on 3 Lu Xiao, and then we're on no fatty raids. I wanted fatty raids, so cut a Lu Xiao Tao, put a fatty raid in, cut a final, put a fatty raid in. Well, now I wanted Nagamo's. Cut a Shin, put it in, and then I cut a Taru and put in the other one. So that put us there for all of our spots here. And then a point of controversy between like some lists, but if you look at most of the lists in the top, I'll say 16, we are all playing the Legendary Man as our special. There's a point of contention where people are like, oh, you want to play Shin for the chance at a free special. The reason why we don't play that is because I'm playing more towards a Taro package with the Taro's twos and stuff like that. Where if you were playing color Shin and playing like actual Taro Zeros, then you would play the Shin special because you have more Shin colors, and that means you would need more Shin names. Where like I'm on more Taro names between raids and little guys. So it's just better to play this. Yes, I know this is kill a 2 or kill a 5, where Shin is always kill a 5, but I don't want to just be in a spot where, like, oops, I ran out of Shins, now I had to pay 2 AP to play a special, where I can just always have one kill a body. And overall, I've been happy with the list. If there's anything I'm thinking about changing, honestly, I might end up cutting one of my one drop shins to put a doubler Keyskate back in just so I can go up to 9 doublers. Usually I like to be at 10 doublers in a 5 cost deck, but this deck performed how it did at the events, and I'm very happy with the results we got it, especially since how we decided to play this deck was I was very indecisive the night before. My whole team had their deck list out. I made sure everybody had their stuff submitted. My teammates were like, well, what did you put down to play? And I was like, I don't even know. 5 minutes left on the clock. I was gonna roll dice for it, and my teammate Ming was like, I want to roll the dice. So I put spear on the table, purple. I was really contemplating purple order, and then this, and Ming rolled the dice. It landed on this, and this is what we ended up playing. And at the end of the day, I had to give some credit to Ming because he's the reason why I played the deck, and we pushed it there, and we got the results we wanted from it.
That's nice. That's awesome. I really like enjoyed seeing your games and seeing the way it performed. Do you think there was any hard matchup for you throughout the tournament?
Uh, if I had to pick a hard matchup, it might have been my first opponent, Kyle, was probably like yes, we both made misplays, and then my seventh round before the last round, my opponent was very he played the mirror very well. When we go through like my matchups of who I played and what I did, round one was against a buddy of ours, Kyle. He was on Yellow Ava. He was the only Yellow Ava I played in the day. He was over at my Airbnb the day before. We had about 24 people over at the D3 Airbnb playtesting, and he got to kind of see all of us. It was great meeting him. He made a blunder, and then I almost threw lethal, making my blunder. But like even when like I thought I was like so far ahead, he was able to like show that he could still come back. That was round one. Round two, I played against a gentleman who said, "Well, I haven't played the game in about 8 months," and it really showed the difference in UA back then to UA now because he was playing Ichigo Rukia, and I really think my opponent limited it, like hurt himself because he said he mulled a hand that had 3 zeros and like 2 4s. Like the hand was playable, but he was like the fours do nothing. Where like back then, like the game was slower, so we could like be a little bit greedier and like we wanted cards that did something. Where like nowadays the game is like, hey, I need cards, I need to play the game, I need to do stuff. Um, then the round three before I went to lunch, played against ALG Zephyr. He was on Shadow Army. We had a close game. I believe, if I remember right, he walked into a special that kind of helped me out to like clear out some stuff and not take as much damage. But I was able to close out that game before lunch. Lunch break, I kind of chilled because usually I don't eat during lunch breaks because I have the superstition that if you eat on lunch, you're gonna lose the rest of your games. It's the reason why is because like when you eat food, your body gets lax, your mind gets lax, and that just opens yourself up to misplays. So I tell myself if I'm hungry, I just need to be hungry for more wins because the adrenaline will make me forget that I haven't ate.
That's a fair
We came.
theory.
Hey, it's what it is. But I did make one mistake. One of the TCG Dojo guys, Yangeef, I ate one grape, and I'm blaming that one grape for the reason why I lost in the finals. I ate one grape. And that's my one loss. So, there has to be something there. Uh, I came back from lunch and I played a deck. I played against a deck that you like a lot. Played against Yellow Arima, the Feds from Tokyo Ghoul. Um, he went for like an early push with a zero, which walked into first life special, which like kind of hurt him. And then he went for a turn where he played his first Arima. I blocked the first swing because I didn't want to take damage too. He swings the second swing and he walked into second life special. And then I already had my hand. My hand was still a special plus Hisuke, so like I still would have been able to clear the Arima, but like my life doing it for me just made it simpler. I could just push for it and go for it, which end of the day does suck, but we still had the out. And overall, I think that was like one matchup where the game, my life kind of carried me. And that's just UA. Like sometimes UA is just going to do that, and there's nothing we can really do about it. We just have to deal with the blows we're given. I wish my opponent could have played a little bit more. I think that matchup is kind of hard. Not really for Yellow Sakamoto, but I think it's hard for like Shadow Soldiers because I have the fatty raid, we can like block the damage too and be like, okay, I don't lose my body, and we're kind of good. Or if they play the Juzo and they're like, hey, you have to sideline one of your guys, you're like, target my Sakamoto, he can't be sidelined. Good game. Um, so I don't think that matchup's that hard for this deck as long as you play it right. Then round 5, I played one of your boys. I played Ken on Shadow Army. Uh, it was kind of scary because I was like, Ken already had his invite. I respected him as a player and was like, hey, if somebody's gonna play right, I really can't make mistakes here. Plus, this is like the point when like it starts to set in your nerves that like, hey, like you're 5-0, right? You're 4-0. Like you're already halfway through the tournament undefeated. Like you just need to keep winning. You're like this is the part where now every person you play from this point is deserves to be there for a reason. Like they're doing good. I double shin. Oh no, I don't. Do I double shin? No, I single shin. I single shin Ken, and I see that he has double 12 in hand. He has energy set up for it, and there's nothing I can do to stop him from double 12 with me next turn. And I have no way to remove his 12 drop at all. Either one of them. I'm looking at my hand. I have no special. I have no buffer for my heat scale. I was like, bro, I'm going to die to this double 12, and Ken's going to get it. Which I don't mind losing to Ken. Ken was going to win out, so he's going to pull me up, so hopefully I can still bubble in. But Shin, like we said before, has activate main, draw a card, turn the face up card of your deck. So I go activate Shin. I drew a special, flip the top card of my deck. It's a special. So now I can just discard. I'm like, look, I found my out to his double 12. He goes to his turn. He hits me. I had like a color trigger to stun another body, so I didn't bleed as much. Went to my next turn, double specialed his board, filled the rest of my board up, so then I could like stop the bleeding, and I was able to close out the game from there. And overall, like it was a good game. Like like if I didn't have the double special, probably would have died to the Jinwoo's. But that card is very strong when like they can see it on curve. Plus, it like bleeds so much damage through with like Monarch's Domain and stuff. Um, my round 6, this is where I start to play my mirror matches. Round 6, I'm on stream against somebody who was also at my Airbnb again, who we play tested, and I helped like critique his list and kind of like push him in the right direction how like he should be playing the deck. Wonderful gentleman. We ended up having a really good game, but this is a point where we talked about that Nagamo really came in because we traded resources back and forth, and it became a 4K slugfest. But he had to play 2 of his raids out vanilla, where I just had Nagamo on my board. He had no way to answer it, where I could just start playing my raids whenever I needed to. That is over on Versus Games Twitch. If anybody wants to go see it, it's round 6. It was a very good game of like the mirror, and I'm happy with how he played. I'm happy with how I played. No one bricked. No one had like you were losing the game because like a play you did. It was like we all played a very good game of UA. Round 7. So myself. So at this point, there's 6 undefeated. It's myself, my opponent, Eddie, his opponent Andrew, and then Jason and his opponent. Um, Jason and his opponent were the ones that weren't on stream, so they got took on stream along with like table 4 or something like that. So I know I know all 6 of us are all really good players because I've seen them all throughout the day already. I go into playing my opponent. It was probably the hardest mirror match I played all day. Right after I just played a hard mirror match against somebody that I already play tested with throughout the weekend. And it was like, oh, so I really had to try and not do it. I can't fully recall if there's ever any big swings or misplays that happened, but I just remember we had a really good game, and overall, I was really happy with the turnout. I wasn't even mad if I was going to lose. I was like, bro, if I lose, this is a really good player because like our game was very back and forth, and I feel like we all played to like our outs very strong, and like the amount of information between his shin, my Hisuke, his Hisuke, the amount of like cards that end up being face up, and like the amount of info you have to be able to take into your head and like make influence your plays for that decision really helped me, and it made me be more confident in myself in the deck in the mirror match. So I was happy with where I was with it. I ended up winning that, and I watched Eddie win his against the Saito player to my left, and then we ended up watching Jason beat his opponent, who was also playing Yellow Saka Hybrid, to my right. So I'm like, okay, I'm either playing against Eddie, which I was like, I'd rather be the down pair because if I win the down pair, then I can play round 9 hopefully against Eddie. So then we can really have like the big all end all be all game. But sadly, Fortune did not have that. It was me versus Eddie in round 8, and Jason was the down pair. I feel like this deck is better into yellow or purple Sakamoto than it is into Shadow, but this doesn't have a terrible Shadow matchup either. I just have to make sure I see the right pieces and make sure I hold my removal for when a 12 drop hits the board. Um, Shout outs to Eddie. It was a good game. It's just Eddie's hand was ridiculous. I went back and watched the stream, and I'm happy I never played the shin raid that was in my hand. At the point, I was thinking about like double shinning because my opening hand had double shin. I played my one drop shin. I saw the third shin. I was like, okay, I don't need this. I'm happy I didn't because that just would have been wasted knowledge. Eddie's hand was egregiously strong into like what I was doing. I was able to like try to come back after I bled a little too much, but Eddie was able to keep the pressure up on me, and overall it was a good game. Biggest things and biggest takeaways, people were like, "Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that?" Um, the biggest thing I do, especially with like the Hisuke, you'll see that I flipped up an active trigger, which was Kaisel. Like, there's an argument there not to give him the Kaisel because he didn't have one yet and force him to show me a Kaisel. But I was already bleeding life and I needed to stabilize board. So if I would have swung Hisuke or swung the swing after Hisuke because I cleared his board and I hit a face down life, there is a chance that it is a special. And if I would have hit a special, my board would have been way smaller. And if he goes into that turn where he has a 12 on me already having a smaller board, I probably lose the game right there on that spot on that turn. So I went for the guaranteed life that's not going to impact the game because it was my last swing. Turns out he didn't have the Kaisel, but now because I gave him the Kaisel, he had Shadow's Monarch, which overall there was nothing I was going to do about that. He was going to play two bodies either way. Uh, and when I answer his first 12 and I play my second Hisuke, he flips another life showing a special. So if I would have just left that one card face up and going down the life like I usually do, I would have walked right into a special, even if I would have been able to play the game from a further point, and the game would have just ended there. End of the day, Eddie played it really well. There was a very big turn that Eddie did the right play, and like shout out to Eddie for this. I had a one drop Taro on board, and I had a doubler in the back. So I was on 4 energy and I had a Hisuke. And instead of snipe impacting my 4K, he decides to snipe impact my one drop Taro because he said, if you have skinny Taro in your life, I want to force you to raid on your doubler and force you to find another doubler. And he was right. He sniped impact this, and he literally, the impact gave me the 4 drop Taro, which let me raid to block out more damage and try to live for a little bit more. And that was a very good play on him, where if he would have just killed this, I would have raided there, would have stayed on 4 energy, would have been fine, and probably would have had a better turn to like try and come back. But overall, I'm happy with the deck did. I'm happy for all the opponents I got to play against. Uh, Everybody kind of kept me on my toes and made sure I was playing my lines right, making sure I was using the information I was getting from Shin, Hisuke, my Shins, uh, to make sure I was making the correct plays and pushing myself to get to the placement that I ended up at.
Yeah, I mean, you did really well. It was very, very amazing. So I guess before we start to close this out and everything, any advice for anybody picking up the deck? Like anything you want to say to anybody who like for the first time to see
Uh,
this?
Yeah, 100%. Like if you're playing the deck, just practice on like you have to keep in mind what are your ratios? What are you looking for exactly when you're playing your searchers, when you're playing your Taro raids, and then taking that information that you have with the information being given with those raids and going, okay, I know I've seen this. Is this an out to this? And a lot of things people will say is like, well, how do you deal with 5Ks? besides your special. Well, like you have the Heescape for the buff to buff your sniper, but if you most of the time if you can get away with it, just hold your special for the 5Ks. Like if you know you're playing against shadows, just hold your special for the Jim Woo, so that way you don't have to worry about like buffing your Heescape, giving them more information on what's in your life, um, and just practice with the deck. Like there's so much versatility you can do with this deck. There's so many cards you could be playing. There's so many cards you could not be playing. The ratios can be all over the place. Just like I said, I started with like 3 Lu Tang, 0 Nagamo, ended up on Nagamos. Um, the reason why I cut the final is because we do have free play. At the end of the day, it is a open-ended list, and just like I like to do with almost all the lists I play ever since I played UA, I always like to look at cards that other people necessarily aren't looking at in the cookie cutter list. Back when everybody's playing Spear, I decided to play Mari because it helped with the mirror. When we're all looking at this, beside, like I said, I think there's one other person in the top 16 that was playing Nagamos, and we're playing a multi-raid deck, so why not play a card that turns all of our cards into whatever we need so we don't have to worry about names as much. Um, if you like the IP, it's a great deck for the IP. But overall, just work on memory is what I'll say, and work on looking at all available information before deciding your play. Because a lot of things people will do when I was playing, I'd have a face-up card on my deck, and my opponent would not remember that I had a face-up card, and I would be able to do a line, and they would play into a line that they know is going to happen because I have the face-up card on my deck, and they'd be like, "Well, I didn't know you had that." I was like, "Yeah, you did. It's on top of my deck." And so slow down, make sure you're utilizing all the information that this deck gives you because it is a lot sometimes, and it really can swing the tide of the game when you can capitalize on the information given and your opponent can't capitalize on that information.
Perfect, perfect. All right, well, this has been a deep dive with Vocal. It's a pleasure having you as always. And
Yep, hope to see you guys at more events. I
yes,
got to get my
absolutely.
revenge.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, until next time, take it easy, guys.
Till next time.